This high-definition gaming footage was recorded using the POG HD PVR2. See the description to pick up yours today. Hey everyone, Tony here from the ClassicL337 Gaming and Electronic Podcast, and I'm here with another news video, doing something a little bit different today. As you know, ClassicL337 started out 3+ years ago as a podcast, and the podcast is still going strong today. We have over 100 episodes. But I've been wanting to get some interviews back on the show, and we've been doing we did a lot of interviews in our past, and one of the people I wanted to bring on for the very first interview, kind of getting back into interviews, is my friend Rich Masucci. Did I say your last name right?
Yep, you said it right. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
That's a rarity. That's a rarity. Most people don't.
I'm from Central Ohio. We're intelligent people. So
there you go.
All right, well, Rich Masucci he's the CEO, the president, the owner, operator, and janitor at Review Tech USA, one of my personal favorite channels on YouTube. So, Rich, welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
What's going on? How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing all right. So we've been friends for, about a year now, is that right?
Say a little over a year, yeah.
Yeah, a little over a year. I met Rich through G2PO, and I've watched his channel literally just explode. Probably be on your wildest dreams, am I right, in the past year?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, it was slow and steady, and then I don't know if something magical, like someone just gave a shout out and it helped it. I don't know what happened, but it went tenfold over the period of 6 months.
That's amazing, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. And I have some questions lined up, so we'll go ahead and dive right in. So first of all, Rich, tell me a little bit about the history of gaming for you. How long have you been gaming, and what is really the attraction of gaming that keeps you coming back for more?
Oh, Jesus. I started gaming, I was born in 81. I would say 83. My first memory with gaming was because that was when the crash, 83. My dad went to a bargain store with me, and he picked up a ColecoVision. I remember he had a friend over, or it was actually a coworker. They were discussing business, and he went to go basically pick up a ColecoVision to shut me up. And I remember playing a Donkey Kong on there, and Donkey Kong Jr., and it was just, you had that whole dial pad controller that looked like a phone from the 80s.
Yeah.
And then what really solidified it was 85. I was 4 years old. That was the first year Nintendo came out, and that was when Nintendo was testing the waters with the NES, and they brought it to New York only. And I got one. And I was 4 years old, and we were getting a Teddy Rock Spin and a Nintendo, and that was kind of what solidified it, man. I was hooked from Nintendo.
Could life get any better than those two toys?
Well, Teddy Rock Spin I played with for a half an hour. That thing was a piece of shit, and it broke too. The mouse stopped moving.
Nice.
And the Nintendo, God, I played Nintendo really until the SNES came out, in even 92, there was a couple games. I remember getting Battletoads and stuff like that. That was the NES. As much as I have my beefs with Nintendo now, it was Nintendo that solidified gaming for me, and made it a form of entertainment that I think is now rivaling, if not it overshadows even though it's slightly in decline right now, the movie industry. And a lot of other people, I guess, feel the same way for it to be that big. What keeps me coming back for more?
Yeah.
Is that it's the only form of entertainment that you're truly involved in. It's that simple, People, I watch some TV, I just watched The Walking Dead, I'm a big fan of that show, and I was a big fan of Breaking Bad and stuff like that, but with a game, even if you get to play an hour a day, the actions and ramifications that happen or whatever, it's totally in your control. So you have this really interactive experience that you really get involved in that you can't with any other medium. So that's really what keeps me coming back for more with gaming. And like I said, when I was a kid is what the NES and Atari and ColecoVision solidified that for me.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. I like how you kind of frame what keeps you coming back. And I think, we're both similar in age. I'm 32. It sounds like you're 31. And the reality of just being able to immerse ourselves in different stories and in different narratives and really become a part of that, I think is I mean, I can definitely resonate with that attraction to gaming for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good stuff. So, and now YouTube obviously has changed a lot of things from a gaming perspective, how we get gaming news, how we strategize. People who probably would have never maybe had a shot in Hollywood or something like that, we now know as I call them internet famous, but you know, people that we really kind of know day in and day out as gamers on YouTube. And so you got started. Tell us a little bit how you got started in YouTube and how Review Tech USA was born, and what the early days were like for Review Tech USA.
God, I'll start and I'll do the Cliff Notes version somewhat. I explained a little bit with my 100K video. When I was living with my ex-girlfriend, is when I first got into YouTube. Actually, the first time I ever watched YouTube, which is kind of the weirdest way to say that you first got into YouTube, I watched it on my Nintendo Wii, which I owned that Wii for like 2 weeks. So I wanted to try out the internet, and I'm like, hey, let me try out YouTube. Everyone keeps talking about YouTube, and I think the first person I ever watched on there was the Irate Gamer. And then when I moved in with my ex, I started getting more into YouTube because I would work weird hours, she would, and I would have the computer in the room, and you could kind of watch. We didn't have cable, so you could kind of watch TV through that, whether it was user-generated content. And I started seeing people like the Angry Video Game Nerd, Classic Game Room, Steve Benway. No, Strictly Sega was later, but the point being is that I'd be like, damn, I could do this stuff. You know, this is cool. So I remember I had a second job at Circuit City fixing computers, and I asked one of my buddies there if we have some way to record gameplay. I didn't even know it was called a capture card back then. And he showed me a Dazzle. And I remember the first video I put up was me playing the demo of Virtua Fighter 5. And that was pretty much it. Because it was tough. I was living with my crazy ex. The way our apartment was, I couldn't really work. So it was always in the back of my mind. I wanted to get back to it, but at that time it just wasn't right. So when I broke up with her and I moved into the other place I was in, which is actually where I'm at now, I was working at IBM, and the film, I would make a video here and there. And it wasn't really until I got laid off from IBM that I was like, you know what? At the time, I couldn't get a job doing anything. I applied everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it be, flipping a burger at McDonald's or even in the field I was in, which was IT, no one was hiring me. And that's because that's when the economy was at its worst. So basically, it really just started, long story short, just really started off as a hobby. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I did some stuff with that guy with the glasses. What was that? I can't remember the other site right now, which is terrible because I still work with them on and off to this day. Got Game.
Oh yeah.
And I work with Got Game on and off, and then it just kind of, I applied for partnerships, and after like the fifth time, YouTube finally accepted me, and the first time I made a penny off of it was in 2011. It just kind of grew out of a hobby. You know what I'm saying? And it was me getting laid off, like I think I've said before in videos, was the biggest blessing in disguise, because I would have not had the time. I mean, I'm 32 now, but in my late 20s when that happened, I would have not had the time to focus on doing something like Review Tech USA if I had a full-time job, Yeah,
and I think it's cool how you started doing it because it was something that, was fun,
Yeah.
and something you cared about, and not just to make money. And it's cool how sometimes those things fall in place, and now obviously you're doing it full time. So that's really neat.
People come into this conspiracy that I was like making money from the get-go. I wasn't, and even when I started I wasn't making livable money until June of 2013, so 90% of the time I was making, for some time I was making, for barely any time I was making very little money, and most of the time I was putting money into it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until a few months ago that I was actually making where I could pay my rent and keep my lights on off of it.
Yeah, I don't think people realize the hard work and discipline. Like our channel, for example, is just a couple guys that do it for fun, without the intention of being full time, but just even the discipline to get a video up at night. It takes time and a lot of effort. And I know I talk to a lot of people who are just starting out and they want to go right into money making phase. And
you'll gonna fail if you have that mindset.
Yeah, and like they end up starting 10 different channels. Because they want something really fast to happen, and they don't realize that it just takes discipline, hard work, putting your head down, and just having fun too. If it ever stops being fun, then it's just another job. So
Yeah. Exactly, and that's the key to it. And people always ask me too about starting a YouTube channel, because I've seen so many people come and go because they wanted just to make a quick buck, and it's just not how it works.
Yep.
You have to truly enjoy what you do, because you're just going to get tired of it and just want to quit. And I've seen it a billion times.
Now, the last question I have for you, really, and I kind of have a surprise one here, but sometimes you can be controversial. To say the least. So I know I've even argued with you before a little bit about some of your videos, but really you can be controversial sometimes with your opinions. You do a lot of news videos, and you give a lot of opinions or your reflections on those videos, or I guess on the latest news in the gaming industry. And so the majority of your fans love it, support you, back you up. Some people definitely scorn you for it and come against you. So how do you really balance that, being yourself and being kind of opinionated and honest and transparent, but at the same time being professional, because this is kind of your full-time job, that kind of thing?
I'm not professional. I mean, it's like, 'cause you gave me that question before. I think that's what works. I'm blunt. I'm candid. I'm not, and I know people see like Gamersgate and stuff, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're just trying to make money off of things." Like, no, no one's in my pocket. I may get stuff to review, but I could say whatever I want to, whether it be about a product or about a troll on the internet. And I think it's that brutal honesty that, yes, pissed off a lot of people, but also brings a lot of people in, because I'm unpredictable, not for the sake of being unpredictable, which I know a lot of people on YouTube do that. I'm unpredictable because I'm going to say how I feel about a company. Sony may do, like, for example, I love people call me a flip-flopper. Sony may do 10 great things in a row, but if they do something astronomically stupid after those 10 great things, I'm going to call them out on it. Same for Microsoft, same for Nintendo, As I look at everything as, and the reason why people get angry is because they think they really want me to take a side and stick to it. But I won't do that. I'll look at everything on a case-by-case basis and say, okay, this company did something great, now they did something terrible, and have no problem, if one day praising a company and the next day ripping them a new one. And, I don't have to be professional, because I just don't, I'm not like working for GameSpot. I can say what I feel. I'm the boss of myself. I can't fire myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't ever work for GameSpot. I'll never watch you again. So
okay, then, yeah, let's not go there. I know some of the stuff you're thinking, but
yeah, all right, I'll stop. But anyways, last question for you is, the first two things I think of when I think of your channel are nipples and Sexy Coco.
okay.
No, I'm just kidding. But Sexy Coco is one of my favorite characters. I know a lot of people love that character. How was Sexy Coco born?
You know what? I get asked all the time. People keep going to this guy on YouTube saying, "Oh, you went after this guy Pyro 2000." I don't even know if he's even still around anymore. And I'm like, no. People say Mike Tyson, maybe subliminally, but I wasn't directly thinking of him. I just wanted to create a character, that was a dumbass, that was blindly following a corporation and really just making him seem like an idiot. There was nothing racial behind it. There was no one that I was thinking of, and I just kind of was messing around the mic one day, and I thought, hey, this is funny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Sexy Coco came to fruition. That's really it. I wish there was some really interesting story behind it, but there isn't. It just is like, hey, I was screwing around. I thought this guy I created in my head was funny, and magically Sexy Coco came about.
I think it gives us all a good idea of what really goes on inside your head. So
sadly, that's very true.
My favorite Sexy Coco moment is when you did the PS4 announcement video, and you showed the picture of like the really pixelated guy, and you said that was like Sexy Coco's ass on the PS3, and then you showed like some, I don't even know where you got that picture. I don't even want to imagine where you got that picture. And that was his ass on the PS4.
I actually had to take that video down the first time because I guess it showed. I thought I censored it enough because I blurred it out, but I guess it showed too much and it got flagged for adult content. So I had to put it up, and I put a fake picture of my friend's face on the guy's ass crack. That was that was a pretty colorful moment there. But yeah, I mean, Sexy Coco. A lot of people ask me too why I don't bring him around that much. I know he's a very strong character. Maybe when my channel gets somewhat bigger than it is now, I may make. I don't want to be one of those people that like a lot. I know a lot of big YouTube partners do. I don't consider myself a big one, but a lot of big YouTube partners make like 4 different channels to try to capitalize on things. I don't like doing that, and plus I like focusing just on Review Tech USA. But maybe in the future, I'll make a Sexy Coco channel because a lot of people ask me to do that. A lot of people want to see more of him, but he's a very strong character, and I don't want him to overstay his welcome.
Yeah, you don't want him in your apartment too long. So
exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Rich, thanks so much for being on the show. For those of you listening, you can check out more from Classic Leap by going to the link in the description below. And also, if you haven't yet, make sure you check out Review Tech USA. Literally the one channel I wake up every morning and I log in to see what new videos Rich has produced because it's really good news stories, really good content and reviews as well. Thanks again for being on, Rich. Make sure you like and favorite this video. And we'll see you next time.
All right, guys. Have a good one.